De La Hoya finally arrives. June 7, 1996. Every seat in Cesar's outdoor arena paid for. Hundreds of thousands, maybe millions more watching via closed-circuit television. The entire weekend in Las Vegas geared to a Mexican-American theme. And after a week of doomsday prophecies about the extreme heat at ringside, a sudden change in the weather brings good news. The temperature, which at 6 o'clock in the evening, 2.5 hours before the fight, hovered well over 120 degrees in the ring, now 2.5 hours later, as the fighters prepare to enter, has sunk all the way down to 90 degrees. The heat should not be a major factor in the fight. Tail of the tape, and as you can see, the 23-year-old De La Hoya has a 3-inch height advantage and a 6.5-inch reach advantage over the 33-year-old Julio Cesar Chavez. They both weighed in 1 pound under the 140-pound limit. Larry?
Jim, for years, Chavez hasn't had the inclination or the inspiration to get into the kind of supreme condition he appears to be for De La Hoya.
Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Julio Cesar Chavez Oscar De La Hoya fight is scheduled for 12 rounds. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you can be saved by the belt in the 12th and final round only. Jim.
All right, Harold. And as the challenger tonight for Julio Cesar Chavez's 140-pound championship, Oscar De La Hoya will enter the ring first. For his victories over John Molina, Rafael Huelas, Genaro Hernandez, and Jesse James Leija, De La Hoya was everyone's choice as Fighter of the Year in calendar 1995.
You know, you prepare for a lot of fights, but when you're going against those legends, strange things happen. You slip in the dressing room, all kind of things can happen. And you get into this ring this time, walking up those steps, and it's awful shaky.
What about walking out through this enormously pro-Chavez crowd? Could that have an effect on young De La Hoya?
It's not so much the crowd as the fighter he's going into the ring with. I went up against Muhammad Ali like that, and I thought I'm well prepared. And then all of a sudden you realize this is the guy I was going on my way to school, and they were arguing about he was the champ of the world. And shaky things start happening to you. You start doing awful and having strange thoughts. If you can only be yourself.
Part of the question tonight, can Oscar De La Hoya be himself amid these circumstances? De La Hoya with 21 professional fights since having won the Olympic gold medal in Barcelona in 1992. 19 knockouts. Knockouts in each of his last 4 appearances. And amazingly enough, he enters the biggest fight of his professional career with a newly named head trainer, Jesus Ribeiro. They call him the Professor. It's an unusual move for the young fighter, Larry Merchant.
Some might question it, having a new voice in your corner, but he seems to be comfortable with it. Rivera is an interesting character, a sort of customado philosopher as well as a fight trainer. Some Mike Katz of the Daily News said he's been teaching Willie Pep and Willie Shakespeare to De La Hoya.
In a moment, the music will begin for Chavez, and then it will be drowned out by the crowd. Although some semi-official sources in the sport quarrel with Chavez's argument that he has had 99 fights and this will be the 100th, it is most fun to go along with Julio's view of things and to call this the 100th fight of his career. Who knows? Maybe it's even true. So the record that we cite for Julio Cesar Chavez, 97 wins, the loss to Frankie Randall, the draw with Pernell Whitaker, 79 knockouts. And now let's take it up to Michael Buffer for pre-fight introductions.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, with the Nellis Air Force Base Honor Guard in attendance, displaying the colors, please rise for the national anthems. First of all, the Mexican national anthem to be performed by Mr. Pedro Fernandez.
Mexicanos al grito de guerra, el acero apresta y el bridón, y retiembla en su centro la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Y retiembla en su centro la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Ciña, oh patria, tus sienes de oliva, de la paz del arcángel divino, que en el cielo tu eterno destino por el dedo de Dios se escribió. Mas si osare un extraño enemigo profanar con su planta tu suelo, pienso, patria querida, que el cielo un soldado en cada hijo te dio, un soldado en cada hijo te dio. Mexicanos al grito de guerra, el acero apresta y el bridón, y retiembla en su centro la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Y retiembla en su centro la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. ¡Viva México!
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the national anthem of the United States of America to be performed by Mr. John Cicada.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets make glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Arum and Top Rank Incorporated and Don King Productions, in association with your undisputed, undefeated King of Beers, Budweiser, this Bud's for you, and Caesar's Palace present 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC Super Lightweight Championship of the World. This bout is sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Chairman Dr. James Nave, Commissioners Nat Carasali, Dr. Elias Ghanem, Luther Mack, and Crispin Rivera. Executive Director Mark Ratner. Physicians in attendance at ringside, Dr. Flip Romansky, Dr. James Wishgame, Dr. Al Capana, and Dr. Robert Voy. Your timekeepers at the bell are James Cavan and Mike Lechella. This bout is also sanctioned by the World Boxing Council. President at ringside, Jose Suleiman. Supervisor in attendance for the WBC, Eduardo Lamanzon. The 3 judges scoring this bout on a 10-point must system will be Anik Hamkamkam, Larry O'Connell, and Daniel Van Deville. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, your referee, Joe Cortez. From the site where legends are made, Caesar's Palace of Las Vegas, Nevada. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the multicolored trunks and weighing in at 139 pounds. A young man who captured Olympic gold in 1992 and now has a perfect professional record of 21 victories without a loss, 19 knockouts, and he has won 3 world title belts. Tonight, he goes for world title number 4. Ladies and gentlemen, from East Los Angeles, California, presenting the challenger, 3-time world champion and reigning WBO lightweight champion of the world, the Golden Boy, Oscar de la Hoya. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, also weighing in at exactly 139 pounds, wearing white trimmed with blue and red. He brings a professional record into the ring of 97 victories, 79 knockouts with only 1 loss and 1 draw. One of the finest in the history of boxing. In that record, he has won 5 world title bouts and is considered by many as one of the greatest fighters of the last half-century. Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, con Culiacan, Mexico, presenting the 5-time world champion and reigning WBC Super Lightweight Champion of the World, Julio Cesar Chavez.
Oscar. Okay, Julio, Oscar, that you leave that record in el camerino. I gave you the fights in the dressing room. I want a good, clean fight, que una pelea limpia. Dese la mano, Dios los bendiga a los dos.
Jim, this is youth, talent, ambition against experience, will, and pride. A fight that may be as simple as the power and speed of youth, or as complicated as the will of a great warrior.
Both fighters sparred upwards of 300 rounds at altitude in preparation for this. De La Hoya says he's in the best shape of his life. Chavez says he's in the best shape since March 17, 1990, his dramatic comeback win over Meldrick Taylor. First punch of the fight is a De La Hoya jab. Cautious start for De La Hoya, who seems anxious to see what Chavez wants to do. If Oscar sticks with the jab, George, the challenge for Julio will be to get inside it somehow.
That's right. Not only should Oscar establish the dominancy of his jab, but do not allow Chavez to hit him with one jab.
In other words, take away Chavez's jab at the same time that he's establishing his own.
That's right. Don't allow him to think that he
already
can jab
there is
you
a
at all.
cut alongside the left eye of Chavez. It looks like a scrape. Not dangerous, but it's very early in the fight for blood to be showing.
It came from the one right cross that De La Hoya landed, and now more blood as De La Hoya again lands with the right. And Chavez is already starting to flow above the left eye. And De La Hoya is landing that right hand, George.
This is a veteran. He didn't come here tonight to lose the fight in one round. Oscar, stick to plans. If the jab open up the cut, stick with the jab.
It may be a more dangerous cut than I first thought.
Chavez was cut over the same eye in the first round of his tough decision victory over David Kamau. And now Joe Cortez stops because he wants a doctor to take a look at the cut. Round one. And this blood started flowing less than a minute into the fight.
That cut was open in training. You can believe that.
Hard to imagine that one right hand could have done that much damage, but it came after De La Hoya landed his first right cross.
That was a big cover-up.
And Chavez suddenly has more purpose. I think he realizes that this fight could be stopped sooner or later by cuts. He is going to try to engage De La Hoya right here.
That, of course, has never happened to Julio Cesar Chavez in 99 previous recorded bouts.
No, he did have a cut, if you recall, in his second fight with Frankie Randall, Jim.
Yes, but you're suggesting the fight could be stopped, Larry, and that fight was stopped because of an unintentional headbutt cut. This one was caused by a punch.
You're right.
Round one has been like Christmas for Oscar De La Hoya.
There's already desperation in Chavez.
As we go to two Spanish-speaking corners tonight, our interpreter is Hector Garcia.
Are you okay, Julio? Stay calm.
La vida está cabrona, ¿eh?
The cut is pretty deep. We're going to have to play by ear.
Quieto ahí.
I think that cut is pretty bad.
Dame la toalla. Quieto ahí. Ahora mismo no está sangrando. Dame la toalla.
It's not bleeding now. Just give me the towel.
Okay.
Quieto. Ahora mismo, vamos a ver si te lo controlo, Julio, por favor.
De La Hoya threw 52 punches by punch stat count in round one. Chavez only 18. How does the cut change Julio's strategy, George?
Well, he didn't intend to be so aggressive this early. Chavez did not. Now he's having to put on some aggression to keep Oscar at bay. And this just isn't the kind of strategy he wanted. He wanted to play his cool for the first 3 or 4 rounds.
For De La Hoya, just stick with the jab and the plan, right?
That's right. De La Hoya starts trying to open up this cut with too many right hands. The fight goes into the 4th round. Chavez gets renewed strength and courage, and he can change everything. Keep your cool, keep jabbing.
De La Hoya is still picking his shots here in the first minute of round number 2. So far, the blood not flowing again on Chavez's left eye.
It has started again, Jim.
Okay. It has indeed. And De La Hoya lands another right hand, and now the blood really begins to flow. Left hook, best punch of the bout so far for Chavez. De La Hoya going to the body with the left hook as Chavez stepped in there.
De La Hoya is starting to bring his chin down just a little lower. This works for Chavez because he's been missing with that left hook because of the height differential. Get your chin down and throw that hook. It's a different thing.
De La Hoya landed 2 short left hooks in there. Chavez came back with a counter right.
Chavez's fans already trying to rally him, chanting Mexico, Mexico, Mexico.
But the crowd is more subdued at this moment than we might have expected. Certainly the overwhelming majority here rooting for Chavez, and many of them silenced by the visible flow of blood.
Ho, ho, ho! Let's go.
De La Hoya has allowed Chavez to relax a little bit. He shouldn't have allowed him that relaxation because he started to think and realize, hey, I am the master of this ring. I've been around a long time. You got to stay on and do something at all times. De La Hoya has to.
Yet in 2 rounds so far, George, Chavez has been unable to engage, get close to De La Hoya and do any kind of damage.
But that's the way he fights. He never won the fight for 1 or 2 rounds. He gets closer and closer, and he starts to take over. And if he can just remember that, and don't do nothing strange.
Julio.
Tranquilo, que no pasa nada, Vamos a no te vuelvas
We're
loco, que no
going
pasa
back
nada,
to round 1 to show you the punches that open the cut on the left eye of Chavez. And that was a left jab to the left eye of Chavez. Normally you would expect a right hand to open a cut there, but this was a crisp left jab to the eye.
Entirely correct, and the right hand that I have talked about came after that, so it landed and caused the cut even earlier than might have first appeared to be the case.
Segundo afuera. Seconds out.
Así. La mano solamente.
Statistically, through the first couple of rounds, De La Hoya throwing more than twice as many punches as Chavez. And you can see that Harold Letterman has given the first 2 rounds to the 23-year-old challenger.
Oscar De La Hoya is starting to land jabs to the stomach. That's very important if you're fighting a puncher to take his power away from him in case the fight goes longer than 5 or 6 rounds.
But it's also going to bring his chin down into Chavez's punching range, isn't it?
No, De La Hoya is landing the left jab to the body, which means Chavez's power will start to diminish as the fight goes on. De La Hoya is starting to lean down a little too much, and that's dangerous for him.
One thing Chavez has not done, he has always worn down his opponents, George, by punching to the body. I don't believe in 2 rounds plus that he's landed a body punch yet.
Let's go.
That's because of that early cut. Sometimes you get a little hesitant. Chavez has got to realize it's going to happen close. It's not going to, anything is going to happen from the outside. You got to get close.
They stay out for the time being in De La Hoya's punching range. And he continues to control Chavez with the jab and with body punches.
And Chavez going backwards more than we've ordinarily seen him go backwards.
For good reasons. Oscar De La Hoya has a jab like an ordinary right hand by the average fighter. That jab hurts you. It makes you want to stay away.
Hard left hand to the body by De La Hoya as Chavez came in close. Then De La Hoya backs up to try to find punching range again.
Hey, come on, give me a clean round. Give me a clean round, you hear? Let's go. Let's go.
That's an old Willie Pep move there.
Hard counter left inside there by De La Hoya as Chavez was stepping in. Oscar lands the uppercut and a right hand. He is finding the range and tattooing Chavez around the eyes.
But Chavez was able to get a little closer that time. Although he's missing from outside, he was able to get a little closer.
He's going to have to take a lot of leather to get in close, George, unless he can find a better formula.
And he should have included that on the cost of the house when he took this bout. You're going to have to take some and give some too. Take a lot and give some.
De La Hoya getting just a little bit more aggressive now as the clock winds down in the third. Chavez, for the moment, seems without a clear plan as to how to get inside of De La Hoya's jab.
Good left hook by Chavez. It was right on top of the brow.
But so far, Chavez has looked his age.
Say Flip. You take that cut. You take that cut.
You have to use the left hand. Used your right hand also. He swapped.
Okay? Okay, Pato, let me see.
Yeah, no problem. It's no problem.
No problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
Julio, no tienes problema. No tienes problema. Nomás lo mismo que tenías, no tienes problema.
Just keep doing exactly the same thing you were doing when you first started.
Me cago en Dios. Son todos tus 5 sentidos. Tú eres más boxeador que ese tipo. Vamos a darle ahí, problema. Vamos con todo. Vamos, se ha cansado. Vamos a comerle por dentro.
Round 4 begins. Oscar De La Hoya to this moment throwing 30 jabs per round. And now Chavez seems to believe he has no more time to waste.
And he's starting to look like he's 23 years old. Whenever he throws more than 3 punches, he looks young.
Chavez getting in a left hook in close. And he brings the crowd out of their seats as he tries to mount the attack in the first minute of round 4.
And in that exchange, Jim, De La Hoya landed a nice left hand on the jaw. It didn't phase Chavez.
Well, we know what a great chin the Warrior has. Julio Cesar Chavez down only once in 99 previous bouts. And that was from an accumulation of punishment against Frankie Randall.
Oscar's a good fighter, but he hasn't concentrated on winning a fight on points in years. This could be a deficit for him because he's been getting knockouts, looking for knockouts. Now you're in a fight where you may have to build up some points in case you don't get this knockout.
He did score a tough decision victory over John Molina early in 1995. When others say Oscar hasn't been pressured or roughed up in the ring, his supporters point to that fight and say, oh, yes, he has.
And we may have some judges tonight who may like the aggression of Cesar Chavez.
Yeah, but he's not being the aggressor.
Hard left hook by Chavez.
That is the third good left hook that Chavez has landed.
All to the chin.
All because Oscar De La Hoya stands and wait for him to do something if he's not jabbing. You can't stand and wait. You got to do something.
But Chavez, at the same time that he's mounting his best attack of the fight, continues to paw at his left eye, trying to keep the blood from hampering his vision. De La Hoya much more tentative now here in round 4, having tasted some of Chavez's power. Good short left hook by De La Hoya, and he comes back with a right hand. And the blood bothering Julio as De La Hoya lands a vicious left hook. Now his nose is bleeding too.
De La Hoya is starting to be himself now. Forget about all of that strategy and the new guy in your corner. Get out there and be yourself.
Brutal left hook to the body by De La Hoya. Chavez's will seeming to be sapped now, as in the last minute of round 4, it's been all Oscar De La Hoya.
Now he's... De La Hoya goes back to the stomach, which is ideal for a youngster. I can't believe it.
And Cortez takes Chavez to Flip Pomansky.
Stay in that corner. Stay in that corner.
That's it. He's calling the fight. The fight is over.
nothing, George, do they call him the Golden Boy. The combination of a skillful performance, maybe just a little bit of good fortune. Chavez's bloody mask at the end, simply too grotesque for Homansky to allow the fight to continue.
But guys, the old guy was never in this fight because the young guy didn't let him get in there. He maintained his poise. He used his own strengths. This kid is like a debutante with a knife in her purse. He looks like the Golden Boy, but he's got some iron and lead in those gloves.
And if anyone was looking for the answer in round 4, when Chavez mounted his fiercest attack of the fight, De La Hoya starched him with a left hook, turned matters around, and dominated the last minute before the stoppage.
It reminded me of Clint Eastwood in The Unforgiven. He said, I've always been lucky at killing people. De La Hoya seems to be a little lucky at doing this stuff.
When you're both good and lucky, that's a heck of a tough combination to beat.
Well, let's throw away luck. He was good.
George, he was terrific tonight. He put the right hand with the jab and then brought the left hook. And that, in the end, was the difference. Let's take a look at this flurry toward the end of the bout. Jab, right cross, left hook again, right cross across the top of the head, left hook again, a short right. Not all of those punches landing flush, but all of them stopping Chavez from being able to mount any kind of attack.
And that's what Oscar De La Hoya, my only worry was for him, that he would not be himself and do what he normally does best.
In the end, he simply smothered Chavez with speed and power.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Joe Cortez calls a halt to the bout. Dr. Flip Homansky has ruled that the former champion Julio Cesar Chavez was unable to continue because of severe lacerations to the eyes. The winner by technical knockout, winning his 4th world title belt and new WBC super lightweight champion of the world, the Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya.
Well, as a useful piece of trivia, no longer meaningful here, it's worth noting that Oscar De La Hoya won all 3 rounds on all 3 judges' cards to start the fight, so there was no funny scoring at that early stage of the bout. And what a performance in round 4, George.
It's strange because Chavez was doing the best he could, and ordinarily against anyone else, that best would have been good enough, but this guy is a little better than best. De La Hoya, phenomenon, that's what he is.
Let's see how Oscar feels about it. Larry Merchant's with him in the ring.
Oscar, congratulations to the fight first. How did the cut eye change the fight in your judgment?
Well, in my judgment, Julio Cesar Chavez had something more to worry about in his corner. We knew if a cut, a broken nose, or if he was hurt, that would change all that during the fight. So that's what we try to accomplish early on in the rounds.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by what you just said, that you knew if something like that happened, he would have a problem?
Well, Julio Cesar Chavez, once they attack him, once he knows that he can back up a fighter, he's in trouble, he's lost. And what we try to do, that was our game plan, our mental game plan, to have him think up in his corner. Because when he's thinking, wow, this guy throws hard jabs, this guy throws left hooks, and then the cut occurs, he has something else to worry about. Instead of his boxing tactics, he has a cut to worry about.
So you weren't surprised after that cut that he didn't seem to be the relentless aggressor that he was at his best?
Well, Julio Cesar Chavez was still the aggressor. He was still putting pressure. He's a true warrior. He's a true champion. But the blood, the cuts, the broken nose was affecting him.
You say the broken nose. Do you know that you broke his nose as well?
It felt on my left hook as if I hit a good, solid left hook, and the blood just started gushing out like Janelle Hernandez's nose the way I did to his.
All right, we're going to take a look at a replay of the punches that caused the cut. Describe what you see.
Well, right here I was throwing the jabs. I think that straight jab, that's when the blood started coming down. That jab right there, stiff, straight jab that we were working on.
What did it feel like to see him in so much trouble, to see the blood gushing from his eye, this legend and the chances getting larger and larger that you were going to take him?
Well, I was very surprised because Julio Cesar Chavez, he's known to get cut. He's known to have a very tender nose. But I really didn't think that my stiff jab was going to cause a big gash over the eye. I guess I was wrong. I kind of try to stay humble about my punches because I believe now my punching power is pretty strong. But of course, still we have much to learn in the gym.
What do you feel now about how Mexican and Mexican-American fans will treat you having won this fight in this fashion?
Well, I hope they're on my side. Hopefully there's some that are on my side because I want to try to be like Julio Cesar Chavez. I want to try to be like the great champion that he is, and he will still be the great champion of the future because he's a great person inside the ring and outside the ring.
Thank you very much, Oscar. Jim?
The master plan for Oscar De La Hoya appears to call George for one more fight at 140 pounds and then up to 147 where there are a lot of big-name opponents, potential big-money fights. Do you think he'll carry his punching power up another 7 pounds in weight?
Yeah, I do believe because this guy has a tendency to train real hard. And if you train hard, the power seems to follow you up no matter what weight you go. And if you train hard, the power seems to follow you up no matter what weight you go. Most guys try to put on the extra weight, and they don't take the hard training along with them. But this guy trains hard, so power follows.
All right, let's take a look at a punch stat profile of what happened in 3+ rounds. De La Hoya landing 94 punches to only 35 for Chavez, much higher connect percentage. De La Hoya was controlling the fight with his jab, throwing 30 jabs per round in the first 3 rounds, and as you'll see, as they went 2 minutes, 27 seconds in the 4th round, De La Hoya was still throwing 30 jabs per round. Now let's go to Larry Merchant, who is with the beaten Julio Cesar Chavez.
Julio, how did the cut change the fight for you?
¿Cómo la cortada cambió la estrategia de tu pelea?
Yeah, sí, ustedes vieron que fue un golpecito. Yo ya estaba un poco lastimado de la ceja.
He was already hurt over his eyebrow from previously.
Entonces yo no quise posponer la pelea definitivamente.
I really didn't want to postpone the fight because of it.
Ustedes vieron que el golpe que ni siquiera me tentó, nomás fue un rayón y entonces se me abrió la cortada ya no podía ver del ojo.
You guys noticed it was just a minor punch and it just opened the cut.
Pero eso de que Oscar De La Hoya tenga una pegada fuerte, sinceramente no.
But really that Oscar De La Hoya has a big punch really doesn't.
Nada, no sentí su pegada, simplemente no podía ver.
I didn't even feel his punches. I just couldn't see because of the blood.
Pero voy a volver, voy a ganar 2 peleas y voy a estar ya en buena con mis cejas.
But I'm going to come back. I'm going to fight another 2 more fights and then I'm going to give a rematch.
Yo sabía que esto podía pasar muy rápidamente.
I just knew this could happen very, very fast.
Pero eran 3 meses de preparación, era mucha pérdida de dinero.
It was 3 months of preparation for this and I didn't want to cancel because of the amount of cut.
George Foreman speculated when that happened that he thought that there might have been something wrong from training. When is that what you're saying, and when did it happen?
George Foreman dijo que esa cortada pudo haber sido que te había pasado anteriormente. ¿No puedes decir qué fue lo que pasó?
Era un entrenamiento.
During training.
How long before the fight and exactly what happened?
¿Cuántos días antes de la pelea eso te pasó y cómo fue que pasó?
I don't know, no recuerdo.
He doesn't remember.
Pero fueron pocos días.
It was just very few days.
And after that, did you feel you were just simply unable to mount your attack?
¿Tú crees que después de que te dio la cortada, o que la cortada se te abrió, no pudiste entonces continuar con tu trabajo?
No podía ver, dile.
I couldn't see.
Ellos vieron que Oscar De La Hoya no me golpeó nada, él no me hizo nada.
You guys saw that Oscar De La Hoya didn't hit me. He couldn't possibly hit me.
No me dejaba ver la cortada.
I just couldn't see because of the cut.
Thank you very much.
As we bring you back live to Jacksonville, Florida, a final look at the bloody mask of Julio Cesar Chavez that tells you everything you need to know and more than Chavez would want you to know about who had the upper hand in De La Hoya Chavez. George, let's talk about the continued technical advancement of Oscar De La Hoya as a fighter. One thing we've spotted in retrospect, 13 separate times in the fight, he opens his left glove and places it against Chavez's right shoulder. Now, as we look at instances of that on tape, tell us what he accomplished with it.
Well, it's the old rule of thumb, if you're going to be a defensive fighter. You stop the punch. If you don't stop it, you block it. If you can't stop, block, you move away from it. De La Hoya is gone back to school, and he's picking up all the old tricks. Put your hand on the shoulder before it gets started. That means you have to start all over again.
Experts like George telling us in the last couple days that Oscar probably picked that technique up by looking at films of Sandy Sadler against Willie Pep, those many years ago.
Yeah, all of those secrets are right there in those tapes. If only the young fighters would study them.
Well, and the new head trainer, Jesus Rivero, has Oscar looking at a lot of the old tapes, much as Tyson has done throughout his career, and there you see part of the result. Let's talk about something else that happened in the fight, Larry, and it's something that you pointed out at the end of the evening last week off camera, and that is that there was no dramatic last stand by Chavez, no desperate attempt to protect his identity and what he had at stake in there in the ring. What do you make of that?
Well, this was sort of the sad death of a king, in the sense that here is this great warrior who didn't go to war when he had to go to war. I think that's a sign, in a sense, of an older fighter. Sometimes when you have experience and judgment, it tends to strangle your passion. Here we're looking at James Toney, if you can recall back a few years, when he had a very similar cut, but he was young. He was told he had to stop the fight in that round, and he went out and knocked out Tim Littles. And then you recall recently in the fight with Arturo Gatti, he had these terrible eyes. The fight came very close to being stopped, yet he kept on the attack and finally stopped his opponent, Wilson Rodriguez. That's what a young fighter does, a young fighter who wants what somebody else has, instead of an older fighter defending what he has.
And there, Julio Cesar Chavez, as you saw in round 4, allowing De La Hoya to continue to control the pace and the tone of the fight, rather than, as you say, going to war against him.
But one thing has to be said, those other fighters weren't going up against Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah, entirely correct. All right, so it'll be fascinating to see what happens to De La Hoya in the future, and if you want to talk about fighting in desperate straits, we'll show you what Kevin Kelly did here earlier this evening, right after these words about upcoming programs.
An unethical businessman.
I would never sell out my clients, but talk fast, I'll listen.
An unreliable cop. An unstoppable assassin.
A hollow point on impact flattens out. Does not wound, it kills.
And an unpredictable woman.
Buongiorno, gentlemen. How you doing?
All out to make a point.
What are you going to do? Shoot me?
Tia Carrera, Thomas Ian Griffith, Donald Sutherland, and John Lithgow. The HBO world premiere movie, Hollow Point. Premieres Saturday, June 22nd on HBO.
Serving up another race. HBO and Wimbledon 96. Begins Monday, June 24th.
Back in Jacksonville, a final word on what happened here in the first of our 2 live bouts. Kevin Kelly, badly damaged with an eye totally closed and probably behind on points against Derek Gainer, nevertheless managed to come back and score this dramatic knockout victory over Gainer. It was the 44th victory of Kevin Kelly's career. And then Roy Jones, following his buddy, smoked Gainer into the ring, got a TKO at the end of round 11 against the very tough Eric Lucas, who showed a good beard, took a lot of punishment from Roy Jones over the course of the 11 rounds. Jones successfully completing the basketball boxing double on this day. Coming up immediately following our show, stay tuned for 2 network premieres, Overkill on the East Coast and Deadly Voyage on the West Coast. In July, World Championship Boxing is back with a rare Thursday night fight. Riddick Bowe returns again to New York City, this time to face Andrew Galata. Galata, last seen on our Night of the Young Heavyweights, faces a sterner test against Big Daddy, but Galata's a big puncher. Catch it live from Madison Square Garden, July 11. 4 days later, Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel returns. Don't miss this topical show, entirely devoted to the Olympics. One feature, a probing look at the most powerful man in all of international sport, International Olympic Committee President Juan Antonio Samaranch. That's July 15, only on HBO. Now for Larry Merchant, George Foreman, Harold Letterman, and Jean Brassard, I'm Jim Lampley saying goodbye from Jacksonville, Florida. The executive producer of HBO Sports is Ross Greenberg. Tonight's coverage of Lucas versus Jones was produced by Dave Harmon. And the Chavez De La Hoya fight coverage produced by Rick Bernstein. Both were directed by Mark Payton. Feature producer Kendall Reed. The associate producers Kirby Bradley, Brian McDonald, and Dave Leipson. Assistants to the producer Matt Boland, John Crystal, and Thomas Odelfelt. And the production managers Ralph Cohen, and John McCallick.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports, the network of champions.
This is Riddick Bowe's fist, Bowe's chin, Bowe's left, Bowe's right. This is Riddick Bowe's front. And just to let you know, Riddick Bowe's back.
Heavyweight champion of the world!
Back home on HBO.
Tonight, it's on HBO. At 9, a new movie every Saturday night.